And welcome to Co-Play Media. So today we have the first of many special guests from our Watson Institute Fellowship. My special guest for today, his name is Kewaan Drayton. He is the CEO of Red Eye Production Studios. He is one of the winners of the Watson Foundation Institute Fellowship. I had the pleasure of doing the program with him. He's a brilliant young man who's done brilliant stuff. And how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on the podcast, man. I'm super excited.
Man, thank you for coming. It was a great experience. I'm glad everything is done. I want to get into the details of everything that we've done and everything that we've been through and that stuff. But first, I want to take it to the basics, and just ask you where you from, go into how you got into the fellowship and everything. I guess we'll just start there.
Yeah, so me, I'm born and raised in the beautiful city of Savannah, Georgia. Call it the hostess city. We call it Seaport, city by the river. But yeah, been living here since since I was born. I left like when I graduated high school, moved to Tallahassee, Florida, went to Florida State University, graduated from there with a degree in criminology. Thought I really wanted to go to school to be a lawyer. But I studied criminology, criminal justice, got my degree, worked in law enforcement for a full year, had a conversation with one of my bosses, asked him how long did it take him to move up the ranks. He said 25 years. I said, I do not have that long. So that was it for me. I put my 2 weeks notice in 1 year in advance. And and since then I've just been pursuing entrepreneurship full time. My brother and I started Red Eye when we were actually in 10th grade, but unfortunately we didn't know it was a business in 10th grade. So we were just like getting jobs, doing video work, stuff like that. And I would find the jobs, my brother would do the work. We split the money down the middle, and we were just these young kids, getting $50, $100, $200 here. And over time that adds up. But we just didn't have that we didn't have any family members or anything who knew anything about starting a business. So we just kind of had to um,
Get it
keep
out the
doing what we know how to
mud.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, like I said, that moment when I was working in law enforcement till I was like, okay, I gotta start structuring things. I gotta figure out how to make this something that I can make a living out of. And from that day on, that's when I just became super hyper focused on entrepreneurship, business, funding, just learning how to get it done. And now I spend a lot of my time helping other people who are in that same position, hopefully catching them at an early age than I did.
That's brilliant. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. Um,
Mhm.
I wanna ask that you have been super cool ever since I seen you in the fellowship. You're always composed, you're always well spoken, you don't do anything goofy. So I want to ask, what is nerdy about you, if anything? Or are you just
What's
on
nerd?
your P?
Yeah. Yeah, so what's nerdy about me? First, I appreciate the compliment, man, and so are you, bro. I feel like we had it off pretty cool in the fellowship, bro. You got a very interesting sense of humor, and I love that because I just don't have it. But but what's nerdy about me, man? A lot of people don't see me as a nerdy person, but I do have a lot of nerdy tendencies. For example, um, each car that I've had doesn't have radio in it. They don't have a radio in them. So I prefer to listen to audiobooks. I,
I'm with
I
you on
prefer to
audiobooks.
I listen
Audiobooks
to
is the new
audiobooks, man.
albums.
Exactly, man. I remember being in school and every time I would actually have to read a book, I would fall asleep. And teachers would be like, if you can't read, you just aren't going to make it in life. And I'm just like, they didn't tell me nothing about audiobooks. But that was a big life hack because now it's like I can listen to a book while I'm driving, while I'm working now. And now, I'm covering more books than half the teachers probably ever covered in their life. So,
Exactly.
what I learned is it's not about how you do it, how you read it, it's about how you get the information, how you retain it, how you apply it. So no matter if you physically read it, if you listen to it, if you sniff it, if you get the same information, there you go.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, man. But that's what I would say is nerdy about me. I have a deep obsession for learning, you know. That's my thing.
I do feel like learning is forever, you know what I'm saying? Like learning is something that no matter what field you get into, what you're doing, you can always learn more, if not about your craft, than yourself or the people or the environment, you know what I'm saying? There's always more to learn, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, has COVID impacted your life or your entrepreneurship journey or your
Yeah. Good question, man. Like, I don't think enough people ask this question, because what like COVID impacted me personally and my business like for the better. And I'm happy to be on that side of it because I know a lot of people aren't.
Mhm.
But I think that as an entrepreneur, COVID kind of forced a lot of people to either, you know, sink or swim. And I think the best way I can apply this, or the best way I can, kind of elaborate on that is, so up until COVID, my business was strictly focused on film and video. So we specialize in creating narrative content as well as commercial content. So we would fund our creative um, films with money that we got from doing corporate jobs, corporate videos, commercials, things like that. But when COVID hit, nobody could be on film sets. People didn't need commercials because nobody was coming to shop like that. So at Red Eye, we had to really pivot what we do. So we had actors, we had writers, we had a director, had all these, we had set designers, production managers, and things like that. And I say that, but we only really have a team of like 5 people. But we had to figure out how to keep these individuals working, right?
Yeah.
So what we came up with this concept called the Savannah Underground. And I don't know how much you guys know about Savannah, but Savannah is a very tourist-driven city. And it has a lot of history, a lot of culture. So we had to think like, what do people come to Savannah for? We know that tourists come to Savannah. Okay, well, when tourists come to Savannah, what do they want to do? They want to eat, they want to drink. Okay, what else do they want to do that's not eating and drinking? Since Savannah has a lot of restaurants that start and fell, people come here for like the stories, the history, the ghost tours, and things like that. So we said, okay, how do we tap into that industry? So our team, our films already specialize in crime, thriller, and horror. So we said, okay, how can we create real life horror stories that people can actually come and experience here? And since we had already had a huge database of actors, because we are in Savannah, we also have a school called Savannah College of Art and Design, which is a
That's
very
tight.
popular art school. And tapped into the actor, the film, I mean, their film and performing arts program. And we were able to recruit some of their people to come work with us. And we tried out this concept, but we didn't just invest a lot of money into it right away. What we did was we created a commercial because again, we come from a film and video background. We created a commercial that kind of showed the experience that we wanted to bring to life. So we kind of created like a fake ad and we put it out on Facebook and stuff. Um, Kind of marketed it to a large group of people traveling to Savannah. The next thing you know, it kind of went a little viral on the internet, and we started to see that people were like, okay, like this could be a really cool concept. Like I'm coming to Savannah in 2 weeks. Like I would like to try this out. So I said, okay, like obviously this is working. And then, mind you, we haven't put any money into it yet. Then I said,
Smart.
okay, let's try selling some tickets. So didn't have a show or anything. Started selling fake tickets. People started purchasing the tickets.
Wow.
So I said, okay, but I don't know, like, everybody's not super ethical, but whenever people pay for something, I'm the type of person where it's like somebody's paying for something, I gotta figure out a way to help
To
bring this to
make it
life,
happen.
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
happen. So I mean, to me, that was the thing that was like, it's not just an idea anymore. This is something that somebody's paying for. And it's like, you hear these stories all the time about like the performing artists or the singers or rappers or comedians who say, "Oh, my first show, we only had one person in there, but we gave them a heck of a show."
Yeah, it was me and
Man,
that one person.
all right. Man, we had people, I think our first show, we had like 14, 15 people who bought tickets. And um, So once we saw that people were buying the tickets, we said, okay, we really have to bring this to life. So we collaborated with one of my friends who owns a wedding venue here, and we rented out her space. And then, within a couple of weeks, we had a show up ready to go, and we've been doing that ever since 2021. So now, alongside with Red Eye, we still have our film and video component, but now we have Savannah Underground, which is our entertainment component and how we kind of capitalize on the tourist industry. And then through that, we branched off into a podcast that we have called The Most Haunted City on Earth. And it's a viral podcast. It has its own, we have over 250,000 followers, well, close to 250,000 followers across our network. And our team travels to do these. You watch the podcast, you won't see me on it because, the ghostly stuff is not my thing. But it's a huge historical market for it. So I just make sure the team has what they need to keep making good content. And that's what we do on a day-to-day. But COVID has impacted us for the better. And as an entrepreneur, I call myself an entrepreneur's entrepreneur because I like to support what other entrepreneurs are doing and teach them more sustainable ways to grow. Now I spend time trying to show other people like how to find those opportunities in times where you might think that you're going backwards. It might really be a unique opportunity to have some strategic growth.
No, I think that's interesting what you said about the whole COVID thing, because I think it did force a lot of businesses to get creative, right?
Mm-hmm. Pivot.
The ones that weren't able to, take advantage of their creativity, they kind of, like you said, they sunk. They sunk. Like you had a lot of these restaurants, they couldn't have the foot traffic, but then a lot of them just started doing the whole takeout thing. So now you got a lot of restaurants that before they didn't do takeout, not as much as they do now, but they saw that it was a market for it and took advantage of it. So I think it's cool that you were able to see that opportunity and even just throw it. It's almost like you just threw some bait out there just to see who would bite it, right? And once people started biting, yeah.
Reeling them in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Reeling them in, like, yo.
But that was smart because you didn't have to put much money behind it at first. You just wanted to see what would happen. And
it's a different type of confidence when like you have an idea and you're trying to bring it to life, but nobody knows that you even exist or are starting this thing. But it's like when you do something small and you see that that people are responding to that, you feel a lot better about spending that money because it's not like you just spent it thinking that, I'm investing in this because it's my idea. It's like somebody actually bought this ticket. So
I know I'm right. I know I'm right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you something about the Savannah Underground part. So I know up here in Maryland around Halloween, we have a lot of the haunted house type things. So do you guys do this all year round, or is it just a Halloweenish type thing, fall?
No, we do it all year. We do it all year round. And that's kind of one of our branding things is, it's like, experience Halloween all year round. But also we try not to get too caught up into, the Halloween vibe, just because the reality of it is these stories that we're focusing on are historical stories.
Right, they're real life stories, right?
And the Halloween thing is just more so it's
a gimmick for corporations.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, yeah, because it's like, when Halloween comes around, obviously that's like our busiest season. So you have to kind of, market to that crowd, but also you want to, when people are coming to Savannah in January, before Halloween or after Halloween, you still have to cater to them. And the reality of it is they aren't worried about Halloween in January, February, March, most people really don't start thinking about Halloween until like the month of. So we're focusing on those stories and making sure that people understand that this is a different form of entertainment. Like you come here, it's not necessarily, you aren't just going to go through a walking tour. It's not going to just be a trolley tour. This is going to be something in Savannah that you've never experienced. And our closest competitor is actually in is in Europe. They're called the dungeons.
Wow.
And you guys got to look them up when you get a chance. But yeah, I mean, it's a very unique market, and we're just trying to, um, grow in whatever way we can.
All right.
Mhm.
That's tight.
Good stuff.
That's tight.
Uh,
No, you definitely got something there. Look, I was even thinking because one time I had went to Williamsburg and they had a similar. It's not really what you're doing, because yours seems more catered to like that history. But they have like those ghost walks, right? Where they
yeah,
give you the
walk-in ghost
little,
tours. Yeah,
yeah, with the little meter, and it might go
yeah,
off depending on where you are.
yeah,
No, I think if you ever wanted to, because it sounds like you got a good idea right now. Shoot, you got Louisiana and all those other places where it's like
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
history on that kind of
yeah.
stuff.
So we're looking at different places. So, for example, there's Charleston, South Carolina.
Hmm.
Hey.
That's a market that's super close to us. Then you have like St. Augustine, Florida. That's a market that's super close to us. So, we would like to branch out further at some point, but I think, right now we know that St.
Yeah,
Augustine is 2 hours away, Charleston is 1 hour away. So it's kind of like built like kind of spreading that. If I
yeah,
need to go see something in Charleston it's not hard to get there.
You
right,
don't
So
want to
it's just
spread
like
yourself too thin.
not at
exactly.
all, because this is a very interesting business because, you know, this is one of the biggest things about entrepreneurship is just like, we have our ideas, but you also have to build a team. And unfortunately, when building a team, you got to be sensitive to other people's work-life balance, their situations and stuff. So what I've learned just over time is you got to build up genuine connections, and you got to make sure that you give people a sense of ownership, or even a real sense of ownership, because they have to feel it just as much as you do in some capacity. Like they'll
Hmm.
never be able to fill that tank up like 100%, but you got to make sure they at least 80, 90,
Right.
because nowadays it's hard for people to stay committed, stay loyal to a specific job. So if somebody come and they offer them a few dollars more, they gone.
They're
Yeah.
gone. And
And
I
yeah,
I think that's that culture that you build up that makes it more valuable than those couple of dollars. Because let me make sure I understand. You're taking some of the actors that you had and you're leveraging them into some of these haunted places, right? Are they acting in there?
not in the places. So we have our own venue. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so you
we,
have your
oh,
own
so
venue.
yeah, we have our own venue, and the venue is a multifaceted space. So it's our theatrical space where people come and we have the shows. So we have the
Mhm.
sets and stuff built up around the show. But it's also, everything is super mobile, because it also is our podcast studio, and it also is where we hold our film equipment and stuff like that for different projects. Is where, I do my videos whenever I need to shoot something, educational. So it's a studio space, a theatrical space, a podcast space. It's multifunctional. And that's how it has to be, because, freaking commercial spaces are so expensive right now.
Yeah.
You gotta literally stretch wherever you are super thin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of got you a mini sound stage over there.
It's yeah,
Straight
very
up.
mini. It's a mini one. It's a mini one. I'm sure y'all have been to some real big sound stages, but essentially that's what it is. It's just a
Okay.
very small scale one. But
No, that's good. Yeah.
I'm all about, I only need the space that I need,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I'm a firm believer that whenever it's time for you to grow, that's not a decision you should make. That's a decision the business makes, and you will know
Mhm.
because you can see it in the bank account.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
The account says we gotta get something else. We gotta get something bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
yeah, can't fit all these people in here no more.
All right.
yo, we
We out
need
on there.
we need
Yeah.
more. We need more.
Mhm. There you go.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
I didn't have anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so how does your background in criminology and police and entrepreneurship, how does it help you become the entrepreneur's entrepreneur? Like, I think that's a really cool way of saying it because that's the service that you bring is like, hey, you're trying to sell these product services, let me help you sell it. Let me help you create the market. But could you just go into, I guess, some of the ideas
Yeah.
of how you go through it?
Yeah, that's a good question because a lot of people actually don't. A lot of people often ask, like, coming from a criminology background or law enforcement background, like, how do you use that in entrepreneurship, or how did you make that transition? And to
That's a
me,
jump.
yeah, I mean, but in my mind, it's not as drastic as a lot of people makes it seem, because it's like, in law enforcement, especially what I was doing, I wasn't on the street. I was what you would call a crime intel analyst.
Mhm.
So I was working for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So I was working when we had the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting take place here, in Florida and stuff. And it's like, it teaches you how to think critically. It teaches you how to work well under pressure. It teaches you how to not be afraid to work with, high level individuals or government officials. So there are so many different things that it taught me how to deal with sensitive information. There's so many different things. And in entrepreneurship, it's kind of that same thing. You have to know how to have that, like, a healthy investigative mindset, where it's like, okay, how can I make this, if I can't get in touch with this person, how can I, work around that, how can I network, and just all these different things. But that's the biggest thing, is just showing you how to develop different relationships, not being like how I mentioned, I had the conversation with one of my SACs. SAC is short for Special Agent in Charge, and being able to initiate a conversation with the person that's at the top and say, like, hey, like, how did you get here? Like, most of the time when you ask, people will tell you. And that's kind of one of the things that I really learned from it is, you have to be able to have those conversations, know how to talk to people, know how to network, not be afraid to do the work, do the research, make sure you double check, fact check things you got to do. And all that stuff translates over into entrepreneurship easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good segue into a question that I have for you. Could you tell me what a Juris Doctor is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's a law degree, I mean, pretty much there's a JD, a JM. A JD is a Juris Doctor. That's what you're talking about. So that's where you have to literally go to school for like 3 years and study law, um, to be able to become an attorney. So a lot of people don't know this, but there's a difference between being a lawyer and being an attorney.
Yes. What's the difference between a lawyer and an attorney, bro?
Yeah. So a lawyer, you can get a law degree and be a lawyer. That just means you have studied the law, you are familiar with the jargon, with the language, with the culture of the law. You know how to read it, you know how to understand it. But you can't practice it. You can't
Uh,
practice it. You can't practice law until you pass the
The
bar
bar. Yep.
for whatever state that you're in. And once you pass the bar for that state, then you can consider yourself to be an attorney. But even then, you aren't really a practicing attorney. You're just an attorney. You're not really practicing until you're taking cases and stuff like that. So, I'm very interested in getting a law degree at some point in my life. It's just that entrepreneurially, that degree is like, it could be close to $150,000. And for me, I'm trying to wait until I can pay for it out of pocket, because I don't, me and student loans do not get along.
yeah.
Hey, that's smart, man. Like student loans is haunting me down right now, man. These guys are scary, man. You don't want to be paying these guys, man. You don't want to be doing that for 150 G's.
Nah, I mean, because I really like the flexibility of being able to, like, go to work or like just work in a way. Because I mean, as an entrepreneur, you're never off. Like,
Ever.
your brain is always going. But
Right.
there is a sense of freedom where it's like, okay, I don't have to go into this office. Like, I don't have to do this. I can create. If I'm going to always be on, then I have the flexibility. I have to have the flexibility to create, like, how and where I want to be, and how and what ideas I can have, and being able to control, what my next move is going to be. There's a sense of freedom in that. And unfortunately, the reason why I want a law degree is because a lot of people think that like when people think of law degrees, they think, oh, this person wants to be in the courtroom. They want to be representing criminals and all this other stuff. But people don't understand that the law literally affects every aspect of our life.
Everything.
I should have. So you opened up something because I should have said that when you asked me about what I'm nerdy about. but yeah, it's cool because it's like, as an entrepreneur, you have to understand how to read contracts. That's his own area of law. Real estate deals, talking about commercial real estate, being able to, hash out the terms of a commercial space. You need to know how to assess contracts. You need to know how to spot if somebody's money laundering. You need to know how to be able to look at, if you're taking out a big loan, you need to know how to read those documents and what questions to ask. So there's just all these different things, and people just think, because there's a big debate in the legal community where, they say it's a waste of time to go to law school and not sit for the bar. I totally disagree with that. I totally disagree with that because
Really?
yeah, because like for me, like, realistically, if I had to choose between master's degree or MBA and a JD, I would get the JD easily because, business administration, I'm not administrating business, I'm doing business,
Right.
it's like
That's real.
a master's degree is kind of teaching you how to work for somebody else or do business for other people. But a law degree is teaching you how to read the law, how to read your own contracts and do your own deals and, invest in the things you want to do. When you talk about venture capital, they're looking for people who can, read the fine print and set out the terms for making investments. So it's like, you don't have to practice law. You have to know how to read the law because we all have different times in our life when it's like we need the law. Like we all gonna need the law. We all gonna need a lawyer at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just like and you're gonna need the law more outside of a courtroom than you're gonna need one in the courtroom. And so why do I need to practice? I don't want to represent people. I don't want to be sitting behind anybody's desk trying to like read through these large documents of trying to find one small thing or one small, something
Trying to
that'll
find
break a
that
case.
trying to find that
Yeah.
loophole, trying to find that loophole to get you the $15 million loophole, so you can
Right.
take the estate, like, you know.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. It's just like, there's just so when lawyers sit, I'm just like, man, like they just don't understand. I do agree with them that it is costly, but if somebody was to, I'm fine with being able to get a law degree and never have to sit in the courtroom. It's just good to be able to pull it out when you want to. But
Right.
also it's like, what was I was going to say that like also I think that there needs to be a fair balance between lawyers who are required to practice law and lawyers who aren't. Because once you pass the bar and you're licensed to practice law in a specific state, you're kind of married to the law.
Yes.
So there's certain things that you can only see from the perspective as a lawyer and not from the perspective of a general citizen. So for example, in Savannah, I sit on this board called the Chatham County Zoning Board of Appeals. And what we do there is we hear out different cases for people or developers who are looking to build, commercial spaces or looking to build apartment complexes and things like that. But as a lawyer, when you're looking at those documents, you're looking at is what they're trying to do lawful or not, so you're making your decision based on that. But as a citizen, you can see that side and say like, is it legal or is it not legal? Yeah, okay. It doesn't like it obviously matters if it's legal, but also how does it affect the general citizen, you know?
Right.
And you can make decisions based on that. But once you're a lawyer and you can only think whether something is legal or not, and that's what makes it right or wrong, it kind of takes away the idea of what general citizens can or can't do. Because yes, somebody might be able to build a big apartment complex in front of somebody's business or something like that, but how's that going to affect the small business owner? You
Yeah.
know? So it's not always a matter of if it's legal or not. It's like who's really affected by this. And
That's real. And you know what? Like for me personally, the law has always been a scary thing. Like I did not want to go to the Pentagon. I did not want to go I never want to go to court, you know, and I hate even like the idea of me being surrounded by the law, but I really like your perspective on it because it's very empowering, you know. It's like learning the art to protect yourself from the BS out there. Like you're able to read the contract and deduce the sticky situations from what is legal to what is unethical, right? And I think a lot of times people conflate the two and think that, like, you know, what legal is ethical and vice versa, right? And I don't think that that's necessarily what it is. And I think that's where the real complexities with laws and stuff come into place. And I think that's crazy awesome, man, the way that you're able to leverage something scary like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's because it's a cool thing, bro. And you know, I just think we need more of that because unfortunately, you know, the cost of legal help is so expensive, man. Like,
Right.
and there is no reason why it should be that expensive.
Because
like
they
I
know
get
you're
it.
not going to look it up, man. They know you're not about to go read these law books and
It's mad hard, dog.
really dig
That's
into it.
yeah, no,
But
it's ridiculous.
yeah, I think but I think too, just to kind of flip it, like I feel like even if you are an entrepreneur, or anything you're doing, real estate agent, whatever, I feel like you become somewhat of a lawyer second-handedly because you got to know these laws and you got to know what stipulations you have in order to do certain things within the confines of your profession and how it affects like your clients. Like you said, like real estate agents to me are a step below being a lawyer for real estate.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And even contracts, because they look at contracts all day too.
All the time. Yeah.
So I think a lot of kids, you know, and even young adults should know, like, hey, like if you really want to get into it, learn law, you know, learn the law of it. Because then you become indispensable. Like, yeah, I know you want to sell real estate, but if you knew the law of real estate,
you won't gotta sell nothing and get paid every time. You know what I'm saying? Like you can.
That's the truth. But it's, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they do have it pretty like mapped out because it's a very, very thin line because when it comes to law, unfortunately, and I'm gonna say I'm not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. You know, you have to have that disclaimer.
I'm not a lawyer.
This is not legal advice. But yeah, it's the thing is because it's like, you know, there's a thin line between like you can only really like the reality of it is we can each be our own lawyer. So we have the right to represent ourselves.
Yeah.
But the moment I start telling you, you know, what's legal or what this legal document that pertains to you is saying,
all right,
that's illegal.
Right. Hey, this
that
man
is
giving
unlawful.
advice out here like he's a lawyer. Like,
and I'm telling you, they will come and get you because like, so I sit on this other board called the Unlicensed Practice of Law.
Oh snap! Oh snap!
And what we do is we read these cases about people who are advertising legal services but not being, you know, licensed to practice law. Wow. So for example, the most cases we see or that we read over are like people who run like a document company, or maybe they are a paralegal that used to work for an attorney and they know how to write these legal documents and stuff. So they'll advertise that they can help you write these documents. They can help you write them for you, but you can write it for you, but I can't advertise that I'm, you know.
I can help you. Yeah, they gotta go.
No.
They gotta go.
And it's crazy because, you know, as long as you're working under attorney, you can do that type of work because you're employed by an attorney.
Yeah, you covered by them.
Yeah, but you can't do that on your own. So it's like everything you have to do that's pertaining to the law for you, it has to be for you. So I mean, you like they tell you, you can represent. You can commit a murder and you can go to court and tell them you want to represent yourself. Don't I mean,
right? Look, they're like, are you absolutely sure?
Yo, I'm not saying that you should do this, but I'm saying every time I seen it done, that guy goes to jail forever. You know what I'm saying? That guy who defended himself, that guy get put under the jail. Like,
Yeah, and that's like it takes some serious balls to do that
you got to be
because
sharp.
I mean, you know how bold you have to be like me, knowing your lawyer is going to go inside of a courtroom full of lawyers
Full of
and
lawyers. Yeah.
that, like I know I do my job better than all of them.
Yo, like, like you just sitting there just as a prisoner and just like, you know what, it doesn't matter about connects, doesn't matter about who knows what, like I read the law last week, I know what I'm doing, hold on, let me show these
Right. Look,
guys.
I know I didn't do it. So,
Oh
but then
man,
they out there proving that you did it because
I'm fresh out of high school, let me dunk on these fools real quick, let me show them what's what, you know what I'm saying?
man, Ted Bundy did that jump.
Yo, did he win? I don't think he won.
No, and the judge who ruled over his case was like, they said you would have been a good lawyer, but you're too like cocky.
right.
The judge later said, I would have loved to like fight this case against you, like, on different terms. But
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
yeah. Good question, D, man.
Right.
That was a good one, bro. I like talking about the law stuff. Again, this is not legal advice.
None of this was legal advice at all.
Don't do
Whatsoever.
this. Don't do none of this. so Kewaan, like if I was an entrepreneur, if I heard this show, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I like Kewaan, you know what I'm saying? He got the great voice. He sold me the dream. I want to do business with him. What services would you provide and how would that process go? Like, would it be like, yo, like I got a commercial for you, and this is the marketing deal, and this is the strategy, and this is the, how does the
Yeah.
process go?
So man, when it comes to like, business and entrepreneurship, like, I have my businesses, the Savannah Underground, Red Eye. We do that. But like again, like on an everyday basis, I'm talking to entrepreneurs. I'm speaking at different business events about just like entrepreneurship as it relates to the civic side of entrepreneurship. So, like I mentioned, as an entrepreneur, I'm focusing on the policies. I'm focusing on, how entrepreneurship, is also a civic responsibility to the community that you're in, or how you use entrepreneurship to help children who are in trouble, different things like that. But I mean, I'm an open book. So if anybody wanted to contact me to just discuss, just have a conversation about business or just about what I do, man, I'll have a conversation with just about anybody, bro.
It's
You know,
tight. I want you to
contact me
give
on
your,
LinkedIn.
there we go. I want to do it at the end, but if you want to just throw out your socials, you know what I'm saying, or ways people can get you, we can do it now real quick, and we could do it at the
Yeah.
end also.
Yeah. I mean, we can do it here and at the end, but my name is spelled Kewaan. Last name is Drayton. Um, is Kewaan Drayton all across the board.
Now hold on, because I got a question.
Yeah.
I'm looking I'm looking at your portfolio on this your website. What's this Mailbox Cafe about, man? That's interesting.
Yeah. So Mailbox is it's a business center and a coffee shop all in one. So if Starbucks and the post office had a baby, boom, you get us.
All
But
right.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
it
that's
looks like it looks like one of those like ideas out of left field because you're saying, hey, we a coffee shop, but we can also ship your stuff out for you.
yeah, a lot of people don't get it until they actually can come in and experience it. And that's why it's
That's
another thing. It's just like, if you actually try to do something like this and explain it to people, they'd be like, nah, like I don't get it. It's not like too much going on.
but
But
if you're there and you're an
But it makes
entrepreneur,
perfect sense. Look, people doing business at Starbucks all the time, but now you telling me I can send my packages out of here too?
and
mhm,
yo,
mhm.
Sounds
I
like a
that's
mean,
perfect
hey,
scenario.
you wanna know the biggest way to get people to like buy stuff is people come in and they'll maybe try to ship out a package or something, and then you got a candle lit that smells like coffee. Now what they want to do?
and want some
drink coffee.
coffee. Yep.
Then they go to the coffee joint right there. You know what I'm saying?
It's called an impulse buy.
Impulse.
Putting this on, dog.
Yes.
You know what? That's a good segue. What advice would you want to give to people who want to be entrepreneurs or start their own nonprofit or do their own thing? Like, what advice would you have for them from your professional opinion or your perspective?
Yeah. So first thing I would say is don't quit your job right away because it's all of but it's not for the same reason why most people would tell you not to quit your job. Most people tell you not to quit your job because your business might fail and you want to have something else to rely on. That's not my reason. Like I'm telling you, don't quit your job because you have to see your job or your employer as your first investor.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to, I always say, like, if you have a job and you can figure out how to build your business while you have that job in the most sustainable way possible, then you already are halfway more ahead than a lot of other people. Because most people jump into business and they don't have any customers, they don't have any money coming in. They're trying to get loans and stuff. But if you know that every month you're making $5,000 a month,
Guaranteed.
you got $1,000 out of every single month that you can dedicate towards your business. All you have to do is focus on the structural things and figure out how you want to go from there. But it's a hard feeling when you out there, you ain't got no money coming in, and you ain't got no customers, nobody know you, you got no network, you ain't got a website.
You
It's
ain't
a
got
tough
no
time.
traction, no job. You know what I'm saying? I feel bad. It feels bad when you got nothing, man. No motion.
Man, it's cold out there, bro.
That was an excellent way to put that, because I know some people say, I'm gonna use this money to do what I really want to do, but actually putting it in the frame of this is my first investor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It actually makes you start looking at things a little different, right? Because it's like, all right, I'm trying to save this money over here, but really, all right, this is my seed money right here. Let me build up.
Yeah, because slow growth is still growth,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and it also helps you prioritize your time because it really helps you see how invested you really are into your idea. So it's like when you're just starting out, and you say, okay, I'm gonna quit my job. Now you got all this time on your hands. The reality of it is to build a business right out the gate, you don't need all that time.
Right.
And you remember how we were just talking about how like when it's time to expand, like you would know because the bank account will tell you. When it's time to quit your job, you would know because the business will tell you.
The business, the business bringing in so much money. It's like
it's taking over. Right.
Exactly.
You gotta lock in. You can't even go to work. You're taking PTO and
exactly, man. And it's just like, man, it's like if you got a job that's providing you with those benefits, helping you care for your family, and giving you a little bit of extra income, that like, it's better to like invest some of the money that you're saving from your job to start building your business. But also it's like when you get up, when you only working 40 hours a week, I'm not saying that's not a lot, but if you working 9 to 5, what you doing from 7 to 10? Like
real talk.
What you doing on the weekends? It's like you still have time to build your business. And I tell people, if you know you have something you want to build, and you got to be realistic about what you are willing to invest per day. Because if you can only do 30 minutes a day, however you want to do it, then it's just like take that 30 minutes and make the most out of it.
Right.
30 minutes over the course of a month, you know how much you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you talk about compounding time, what happened when that's an hour? What happened if you invest your lunch break and 30 minutes after work? It's like the idea of compound interest as it relates to time is crazy. But I mean, and then people be quitting their jobs, and then when they be at work, they don't be working anyway.
Right.
Real talk. You only really work like 2-3 hours a day, depending on what you do. You only like really thinking like 2-3 hours is the only time you really like, I gotta get this thing done.
No, that's real. Because really,
who really working?
Really working 8 hours, man? Like
security guards.
No, for real, they are. certain jobs
Exactly.
you are really
They
working.
gotta stand. They might be on their phone. But they standing there all day. You know what I'm saying? They sitting there like this, like
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
So,
feel like I always felt like, look, if I'm working a legit 8 hours a day at the
you working too hard.
especially in the government.
you sweat, yo, you
This
working 8
might not
hours
be
a
the
day in the
job for me,
government.
bro.
Hey,
Right. And that's the thing, because you like how I told you I was working in law enforcement in Florida. So that's how I literally started building Red Eye, was because when I first got a job, like I started out during the day because I had to learn how to run everything at its peak times. But then once I learned that, like, once I learned everything and they gave me the opportunity to like work overnight and I can get paid more and less happens, sign me up, man. Who needs sleep? Like,
Yeah.
easy money. I sleep during the day. Thank you very much.
and
I'll get my naps in. I'll get some naps in,
man, I literally asked my boss, I said, okay, so let's say nothing's happening, all my work is done, and I'm just here. Can I work on personal things? Sure. Like, yeah. I mean, so that's how I built my business starting out. Doing a website, learning the SEO, learning how to get customers in different places. That's really where the time was put in. So that's why I said your job is literally your biggest investor, because that time overnight when nothing was happening, it gave me a lot of time to build my businesses, but also still have like that foundation. So when I was ready to quit my job, it was because I had built it up to a point, and then it was like, okay, I got to move back to Savannah because we're starting to get a lot of customers and a lot of traction there. So when I quit, it's not like I was quitting and going to no man's land. I had a plan.
You were quitting and you because the bag was waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like I gotta
There
get
you
it. The
go.
bag is accumulated.
There's
I must collect it. I
There
gotta
you
get
go.
it.
So
There you
so
go.
let me ask you this. So like starting out, right? You getting this business off the ground, and like you said, you're always working because you're thinking about things, right? Your
Yeah.
brain is always going. What would you say the ratio is of you doing the creative thinking part versus actually implementing?
Yeah. So it's a mixture of both. And I think that's when it comes in, it brings a lot of value to have a team, because I'm more of a creative person than I am a business person. I actually had to work really hard to accumulate the business side of things. Um, but the thing is about me is I only focus on the business side of things because I have a team dedicated to the creative side. So they give me the freedom to make all the business decisions, and I give them the freedom to have all of the creative freedom. So it's just like although I'm still allowed to give ideas and stuff, they have the end all be all, because when it comes to making business decisions, I have the end all be
You
all.
got the end all be all, yeah.
Yeah. So that really nails in on why it's important to like build a team, because the reality of it is you can't be doing this stuff out here. Businesses aren't meant to be run by themselves, by yourself. Like, I mean, if you trying to find a quick way to a grave or to like a mental institution, like I'm telling you, try to do it all by yourself.
Yo, that's real, man. Doing it all
Yeah,
by yourself will drive you crazy, man.
man. Yeah. It will. And also it's just like you just gotta it forces you to find different people who complement your talents, because you can't know every single thing.
Right.
Like,
It's impossible.
you can't have the idea and be the person that like execute every single part of the idea.
Ooh, yo, having the vision and being able to carry it through is two very separate, different skills,
Yeah,
man.
it's very hard.
Yo.
Man, yeah, yeah, yeah. But in that same line, it's like you got to know. I mean, another part of being an entrepreneur is not just having your vision too, but also knowing like how to have the eye to spot other people's skills and abilities too. Because there's some people who are out here doing different things that they don't know it's a business. They don't know how to bring it into a business. So if you have that entrepreneurial mindset, you can help them. And if you negotiate it right, you might be their next business partner.
Getting on too,
Yeah, so I mean, that's the creative side of being an entrepreneurship that people don't talk about. Is
Yeah.
like, yeah, one of the things I focus on is creative deal structures.
Yeah.
Finding entrepreneurial opportunities in places where people will never look, in ways that people never really think about them. So, you really got to just that's where the creativity comes in. It is a art. It's easy to just think about, the numbers and how you execute a vision and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it gets really creative when you talk about trying to, because if somebody does it right, you don't have to pay nothing to get into entrepreneurship. You just go invest in somebody else, or leverage your network to help somebody
Right.
else.
Right.
It's half
And
of
you
it.
get and you getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Like folks will gladly pay for that because they don't have those connections, or they didn't even know it was possible, or they don't know how to do it.
Hmm.
That's super
Yeah.
real, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cause
Um,
that's where I struggle, man. Cause I'm always like, yo, I got a lot of ideas. I just
to this day, I think Andre needs to come out with an album, man. I think you need to come out with an album. You need to do show albums. You need to do music for shows and movies. I swear to God, there's money in there. I promise you.
Yeah. It is. I mean, man, it's money everywhere, to be honest, man. Like I tell people, opportunities are found under rocks, man. You just got to lift the rock up and see if you can find one. Like,
yeah. Nah, I hear you.
Just gotta lift the rock up, man. Put two eyeballs on it. Call it Pet Rock, man. You
Right.
making millions of dollars, dog.
yeah.
That
I mean,
um. So I want to shift. This is awesome. I want to shift to the Watson Institute and like, how
yeah.
did you find out about it? How did it help you? And like after the program was done, what did you feel as if you were left with that helped you uh take things to the next step, if you will? Like,
Yeah. So then, how I found out about it was, so my Instagram feed is like full of just like entrepreneurial tips, knowledge, and so they feed me all the like ads about like entrepreneurial opportunities and fellowships and stuff like that. And so one day I was just on Instagram and I saw like an ad about about this specific Truist Foundation fellowship coming up. And I said, oh, let me look this up because I have a very good relationship with the Truist bank here in Savannah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I was like, huh, this is pretty cool. Like, I wonder if I'm gonna actually screenshotted it and send it to my contacts. And I was like, hey, is this legit? Like, do y'all know anything about this? And they were like, yeah, like we know about the foundation. Like we aren't as involved with them, but they're like, we know that that's real. So I was like, okay, cool. So I signed up for it and then just let it go and completed the application to the best ability. And then I think that was like in October of last year. And then around like the end of the year or early January, that's when they started calling, saying, "Oh, we're gonna be
yeah,
doing interviews and stuff like that." And I'm just like, "Okay, cool. Like I'll interview." I mean, because when you're an entrepreneur, you barely ever get a chance to be interviewed anymore as far as like a job. So you kind of have to. I'm like, okay, like how do interviews work again?
Yeah. How
So
do I approach this? Like what?
yeah. So yeah, we did the interview and I think there was like one or two. Not sure how many it was, but just did them
I
and
think it was two. It was like one
yeah,
person was our manager, and the other person was the person that was like our base camp person.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
think one of them was Mary, and the other one was like the first person is like, yeah, you made it. You made it.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, once I learned that I got in, I was like, oh, okay, like let me figure out what the time commitment is. So then I was like, okay, like I sat down, I said, okay, what's the best that can come from this? And I said, at the end of the day, it's an opportunity. You get that big bank name, and you just. I mean, there was no loss that would come from it. So I say,
Hmm.
didn't have much else going on outside of business stuff. So I said, I'll do it, and just they called us up, say, hey, you've been selected. So I said, cool, like let's do it. Yeah.
That's exciting. That's exciting. And after it was done and everything, do you feel as if it was worth your time, or do you think that you had gleaned any information or got any skills or connections. I personally wish that I was in the area, because I felt as if you guys were able to link in person. Y'all saw each other's eyes, y'all dapped each other up. Because I'm in Maryland, so I'm like, it's me and
Yeah,
Melody. We were the only ones who weren't there. Like, I'm seeing y'all on pictures. You know what I'm saying? I'm in LinkedIn.
yeah,
I see y'all did the
yeah,
LinkedIn. I'm like, damn, they got pictures, man. They together. They having
yeah,
lunch. I want to have lunch.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, this sucks.
that was the cool part. But I mean, I kind of feel what you're saying though, because me and Olivia, we're in Savannah. Everybody else is in Atlanta. So, you know,
Ah,
we still not as much distance as you, but we still had that distance in between us and the rest of the cohort. But
Mm.
it was still good to be able to like link up with everybody like during the base camp, during the initial immersive and stuff like that. And we kind of just I mean it was cool, bro. I would say that I did gain a lot from it. So I think first it's all about, how you really take advantage of that time. I think that you can either like go through the motions of it, or you can try to literally like milk or extract as much as you can from the opportunity. And me, I mean, if I'm being honest, I mean, the material and the content that we kind of went through on a day-to-day basis, I'm not going to say that it was like super enlightening or like it was anything that we probably didn't
yeah.
already know, but it either confirmed some other things or gave us a new way of thinking about other ideas. But ultimately, it gave us it widened our network, you know. And I think that that's the key thing to get from it is you got to be able to understand how to leverage that network and how to, because I don't think a lot of people really understood how like, like Truist is a like pretty big company. So it's like, the fact that you go through this and you have these opportunities and stuff, it's like you got to try to get something out of it.
Oh
Right.
yeah. Like, I was looking at your LinkedIn, and I was like, yo, I did not leverage my stuff well. I was like, I was like, we can put that on there. I was like, we can put the Watson Foundation on there. We can do that. I was like, I didn't know we could do that. I was like, that's what's up. Like, I was like, oh man, I should have done that.
Yeah, bro.
I'm
I
gonna do
mean, I
that
mean,
now.
you still should. But
Right.
like but that's what I'm saying. And it's all about. That's why I tell people all the time, bro. You really gotta like everything you do. You really have to be able to say, okay, like how can I leverage this? You know, and just start writing down like how does this loop into my LinkedIn? How does this work into my professional brand, my personal brand? Like how can I, you can have I reached out to the program managers and got them to write me recommendations on LinkedIn? Have I wrote
Man, is that how
10?
you got so many? I was looking at you. I was like, I ain't got none from. I was like, how do I get these? Like,
Hey, what they say, closed mouths don't get fed, bro.
dude,
Yeah.
I was like, he got everybody. He got Nerva. He got everybody. I'm like, dang.
Hey man, what's the worst that they can do? Say no.
That's
I
true.
Basically.
mean, but
Yeah,
also it's
basically.
like it's not like but I never approached them just like, hey, write me one. I'm like, hey, like let's work, let's do this for each other. Like, cause the best way to ask is to do it first. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
Yep.
so you
That's
just
true.
Absolutely.
yeah, you just do that and because also it's just so easy because I'm pretty sure you done had like multiple different life experiences that done came up ever since the fellowship. And it wasn't even that long. So it's like while it's still hot, while it's still fresh, you got to be able to just connect with those people and say like, hey, like, this is what I'm trying to get to next. Like, let's exchange these reviews,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I also reached out to them and I asked, I said, hey, how can I really use this? Like how? Like, and
Oh,
they're
so
like,
because I'm curious, I was curious the whole time. I'm like, man, how do I do this, man? I don't know what I'm doing. I was asking everybody. I was like, do you guys know what you're doing? Because I've never
yeah,
done this
man,
before. Like,
bro, it's like that's a big name. So first, anyway, the foundation has contributed, use that like definitely for you. I would say the LinkedIn page, like on a LinkedIn thing, like put it as experience, you know. I mean, you can look at mine and kind of just, finagle it for yourself. But yeah, because that's experience, bro. I mean, you gain some valuable insights, and also, I mean,
Right.
when it's time for the next one, if you choose to go through another one, they kind of want to see that you You know, you that,
They see it. They know Kewaan is a man. You know what I'm saying? They like we see it. They're like, we see it right here. Just look at it.
hey
Like,
man, this is the best way I can explain it. Like, as an entrepreneur, you have to think that way because when you work a job, it's easy to wait on somebody else to give you a promotion, you know. But as an entrepreneur, it's like you are in control as to when you promote yourself. You are in
Yeah.
control as to how much you make. So, you know, your boss isn't coming to you saying, "Hey, D, you know, you've been doing good these past 6 months. Like, you know, we think we might give you a promotion soon if you keep doing well." It don't work like that in entrepreneurship. It's like either you gonna literally capitalize on every single opportunity, or you just gonna go through the motions and
yo,
not give yourself the next the next
it
opportunity.
entrepreneurship is to me, it's like you eat what you kill. You know what I'm saying? If you don't kill nothing, you don't eat nothing. You know, like you could
Yeah.
be hunting, you can be running, but if you don't get it, it's gone. And I think there's some fun in that, and I think it makes it one of the hardest
Mhm.
things to do ever, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it is. And that's why, you know, over time you just start like you never really have it all figured out. But like I said, you just take whatever season you're in that time. You say, okay, like how am I leveraging this? You know, how am I putting myself in these positions? You know, who am I networking with? Like how am I cultivating those relationships? That way, you know, when I need somebody to to vouch for me or when I need somebody to write this recommendation or somebody to, you know, ask to be a mentor. They want to see that you put in the work yourself. But it's so easy for us to like, you know, ignore some of the things that we're doing or see those as like very small like accomplishments. But no accomplishment is small. It's like, you know, we actually like do so many things where it's like, oh, we do X, Y, and Z, but we never really like put those things on our record like we're supposed to,
Right.
you know?
Right.
that's real. That's
Go
real.
out there and commit a crime right now and see how fast it take to get on your record.
Oh, light speed. You know what I'm saying? Light speed. They're gonna be talking about you on the news later on that day. You
Exactly, man. So it's like, you know, it's articles, man, like press releases and all those different things, bro. You just gotta make those opportunities, bro.
So while we were at the fellowship, it was necessary for us to do a base camp in which we did our idea, right? Everybody's idea was different. Everybody's base camp was different. Um, could you please tell us about your base camp?
Yeah, so my base camp, so I teamed up with Olivia because both of me and Olivia was in Savannah.
Yep.
And Olivia just she moved to Savannah recently, like I think within a year or something like that. And
Olivia was the
y-
one with the store, right?
yes,
Do you remember the name
yeah.
of her store?
Her store is called the Shop on MLK. Yeah. And so she it was here in Savannah, and like I actually knew her uncle because he owns a store in Savannah too. And actually, like in February, the vice president came to Savannah and we met with her at her uncle's store.
You met with
So
Kamala Harris at the store?
yes, man, it was
That's
it was
fire,
crazy.
bro. That's
Yeah.
fire, fam. That's vicious.
So, so yeah, man. So we did that and at her uncle's store. So I was like, you know, Olivia, like, you know, we're two people that have to like team up on this from Savannah. So we, unless your idea is super drastic, like in my opinion, I think we should team up. So we teamed up on our base camp and we came up with the idea of shooting a film because, like I said, I have access to my production company. So we made a film about that highlighted some of the earlier entrepreneurs in Savannah who were building businesses at a time when it wasn't desirable for Black people to build businesses.
Mhm.
So we really want to interview because that's something I've always wanted to do too, just because I think that that's something that not only I could benefit from, but also the city could benefit from. Just being able to, you know, capture some of those stories on camera and being able to kind of honor those individuals in a very unique way that, you know, this film will always be accessible to people who want to learn more about it. So to actually go in our cities like archives and stuff like that. So we just shot a film that had these different older business owners talking about, you know, we had one lady talk about how it was she was a CPA talking about how it was being a Black woman CPA in Savannah, you know, in the 60s and 70s. I had one guy, Mr. Pilote, who was he's a general contractor. So he owns this big Black-owned big firm. And he talked about how, you know, he had to compete with all these other different, you know, white construction firms to get these jobs. So I really wanted to capture those stories on camera. We talked to the second Black mayor of Savannah and just got his experiences and stuff. And what we did was we had like a film screening to our base camp was a film screening of that documentary. And we had like different entrepreneurial support organizations from Savannah come. And before the film started, they were able to like network and kind of talk about the different resources or funding opportunities and stuff they had available. And then after like an hour of that, then we did it at a church. So then we went into the sanctuary and we actually watched the film in there. Then we did like a little pitch competition and stuff. So it was just a way to for me to be able to, you know, because sometimes it's very hard to get people into like a room to like learn stuff, especially if it's just like a networking event. And so I want to do something unique and interesting, also creative, where I knew if somebody was in it, they would have to open up their network of people to come. And you know, I just wanted to be able to have something that would retain meaning. Like I didn't want to do this base camp, and it was just like something that just passed with time. I wanted to create real good marketing materials for myself and Olivia. I wanted to highlight the Watson Institute and Truist because you know they invested in me, so I wanted to give them content to invest back into them.
Yeah.
And then I ultimately just wanted to have a cool event that matched my vibe, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fire,
Yeah.
man. That's fire. And Olivia, I'm glad that you guys worked together on that and created that. Like, I think that's truly amazing. What do you see for yourself on the horizon? What do you see yourself doing in the next couple of months that you want to share out there with everybody?
Yeah. So the next few months, you know, it's going to be just so right now I'm about to probably start working with another entrepreneurial like incubator organization here in Savannah. I'm gonna spend some time helping them. They're kind of reorganizing how they are running their company, their organization. So I'm coming in to kind of help them for some time, get their stuff up and going, figure out how they can better support entrepreneurs. And other than that, I'm gonna be running my businesses, and I'm just keeping things super chill right now because I just got married like on the 30th of June.
Yo,
And
congratulations, man.
thanks, man. And we're having a baby in December. So
Oh, double congratulations, yo.
yeah, bro. So we
That's
kind of
all
just
good stuff. Good
yeah,
stuff.
we're just like chilling out on the projects right now. And I'm starting another fellowship in next month in September. It's one
Nice.
specifically focused on venture capital. So that's it for right now, man. I'm keeping it chill, and cause me, bro, I just like to go, but you know, right now I obviously gotta slow down just a little bit.
Yeah,
Just a little bit, man.
just a little bit.
Mhm. Yep.
You're
But
gonna be
that I
hit.
mean, uh-huh.
I was gonna say you're gonna be getting hit with some new things that you're gonna have to slow down for, and that's awesome stuff, man. That's awesome, fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Um, who as we're wrapping up, would you like to shout out to anybody who helped you of notoriety that you can remember off the top of your mind? I know there's always more that we forget, but and could you also shout out again, second time, any kind of website, social media, any other means of keeping in contact?
Yeah, man. So as far as you know, shouting out people, man, there's been so many different people who have contributed to my journey, bro. So, bro, we could be here for another hour going down the list. But you know, no, I'm thankful to everybody, man. I tell people all the time, like I said earlier, we can't do it alone. It takes a village to teach one. So I've had a lot of people who have taught me different things. And I'm just a very curious person, and I'm always want to learn new things. So anybody who takes the time to give me information, I'm thankful. But reaching out to me, our website is www.kewaandrayton.com. LinkedIn, all the socials are at Kewaan Drayton. You can find me there. If you email me, it's kd@kewaandrayton.com. I usually respond to all emails within a day. But yeah, I mean, I'm very open to having conversations with anybody, man. Anything you guys want to talk about, strategy wise, business development, new ideas, just want somebody you can, kind of go back and forth with. Hey, let's do it.
Man, you are an awesome individual, man. I would love to have you on again. I would love to do this again. Maybe just ask other people questions. Maybe we'll do something in group with other fellowship members and maybe do a round table about something. I heard the word brain trusted. I don't know what a brain trust is, but maybe we could do some brain trusting, you
Hey,
know?
let's do it. Yeah. Brain trust in the mastermind.
Yeah,
Right.
mastermind. Let's
Yep.
mastermind some stuff, man.
Yeah, no.
But yo, it was great having you on here. I love that you can come on here. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. In the words of Monkey D. Luffy, man, if you don't take risks, you can't make yourself a future. This is Co-Play Media, and we are out of here.
Dope, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
that was
man.